Good morning, everyone. Good evening, good afternoon, wherever you are, and welcome to this week's Weekly Energy Boost. My name is Elisheva, and I'm here this morning with David, and we are highly motivated this morning to share with you not only the secrets to staying motivated and pushing through and getting past the emotional, mental, even physical obstacles that prevent us from digging in for the long haul. We also want to share with you some of our personal methods and approaches to taking on those moments where it just doesn't seem worth it. Why bother? I'm really not feeling it. And how do we keep in for the long haul? The weekly energy boost is typically a 7-day spiritual energy forecast where David and I, and sometimes a guest, patch together a journey of how to take advantage of the energy, which is really Kabbalah speak for how do we take advantage of the opportunities that are coming at us this week, this month, and avoid the potential pitfalls. So obviously today's show is much more about talking potential pitfalls. Today is the 3rd day of the month of Pisces, according to the Kabbalistic calendar. David and I are Pisces, and we are going to be talking this month from experience, transformed Pisces, of course. But the idea is that we're all going to be a little Pisces this month. So by sharing with you these best practices and the wisdom from which these practices originate, you don't have to fall prey to the weight that comes with this month, and you can take advantage of only the opportunities, the positive scenes that have the potential to manifest in the coming few days. So I don't want to accuse you, David, of not being motivated. You actually are a very motivated person and very inspiring with your 5:30 wake up times and stuff like that. Pisces definitely have problems with waking up early.
I've been trying to get into the 5 a.m. club, and my wife forbade me.
Really?
From doing that.
Because that's going to ruin your evenings?
She said you'll be a much better husband and father if you wake up at 5:40 and get that extra 40 minutes of sleep.
I am with her all the way.
So you see, the secret is that you should be willing to wake up at 5, and then if the creator, via your wife, tells you to do something else, then at least you know you were willing to. So yes, the alarm was for 5.
Well, by the way, you bring up perhaps, I wasn't thinking
it is a big secret what I just shared.
Yes,
but
David just unleashed a really powerful nugget, which is the universe really just wants to see you're willing. Mm-hmm. And 95% of the time, you don't actually have to go through the thing you dread or are avoiding or wish you didn't need to do. And the reason that's important is because we talk constantly on the show about consciousness is everything. Our thoughts create our reality. And probably one of the most difficult things to do is to control one's thoughts. Mm-hmm. But if you can take whatever it is that you're dreading to do, like getting up early in the morning, you can say, well, wait a second, I'll do it. You know what? I'll do it. I'm going to do it for 30 days. I'm going to do it for 40 days. And I'm going to break this crust that keeps me from growing. It's not about, nobody gets a sticker or a gold medal for getting up early. It's more of knowing the things that we are unmotivated to do and really tricking the universe into not letting us go through it. However, it has to be a genuine trick. It cannot be fake.
I want to share a secret about that. Before I do, I want our live audience, to write down questions that they have about this topic, perspective that they want to share, personal experiences, the areas that are challenging for you to remain motivated. We're not going to just tell you concepts that will inspire you and motivate you. What we like to do on this show, and it's why we believe you listen to us, tune into us versus some of the incredible motivational speakers out there, is because we also like to explain the spiritual backbone or the seed level of why what we're sharing is accurate. And that's the power of Kabbalah. Kabbalah is very deep, very profound. As I study some of the deeper texts like the Zohar, and the great works of the Kabbalists in my free time, I always think, wow, this is so profound. I learn deeper understanding of it all the time. And then I'm always eager to how do we bring this in a practical way? Because that's the problem, that Kabbalah has never been made practical. And I find it really exciting that on this show, we on this podcast, however you want to put it, we are making the effort to do so. So I'm going to take a really deep Kabbalistic concept. I'm going to make it practical here with regards to willingness and motivation. So one time I asked my teacher over a decade ago, what if I'm faced with two possible decisions to make when it comes to sharing? So let's say
one decision, two choices.
One decision that needs to be made, but there are two choices. You don't know what to do. For example, let's say, I'm just making up something here. Let's say it's our birthday. It's my wife's birthday. So she said, all right, well, let's have dinner, you and I, tonight at 8:00. Kids will be in bed and we'll just spend time to have dinner, right? So I said, great, I commit to this. Let's do it. I think that's wonderful. Now, what if a friend calls you at 7:30 and says, hey, something happened. I'm getting to the airport actually kind of early. For those of you who know LAX, it's kind of challenging to get an Uber. They changed all these rules. It's very complicated. Like a shuttle to another shuttle. Basically, you need somebody to pick you up. It's a much better experience. A friend calls me and says at 7:30, hey, can you come get me? I really need you. There's no Ubers, whatever. Now, what do? You have dinner with your wife for her birthday, and then you have
for your shared birthday.
In my case, our shared birthday, and then, but you have this friend who's stranded at the airport. So you're now confronting a situation. And I asked this question to my teacher, and he said, first, and here's the thing: you don't want to go see your friend. You don't want to pick him up. It's out of your comfort zone, and you got another issue here, which is you have the wife. So the wife's birthday. So what do? So my teacher told me a very profound secret. He said, you close your eyes and you say, I'm willing to go pick up my friend at the airport. In fact, I want to. And you have to get yourself to the point where you so badly, actually you want to get out of your pajamas, put on the clothes, drive 45 minutes in traffic, and pick up somebody from the airport. Like, you want to do it. And when you reach that place internally that you want to do it, which constitutes a full letting go, what you've done now is you've released yourself from all the negativity, which in Kabbalistic language, negativity is my desire to receive with the self alone. It's really my comfort zone. And when you break your comfort, now you're accessing the light of the Creator. And now you make a decision not from your comfort place, because you both want to go to the airport and you want to be with your wife, so it's equal there. And now the divine energy will tell you what's the right thing to do. And of course, in this case, it's to be with your wife. But you can't just say, well, got to be with my wife. Now I have a good reason to say no. You're kind of excited to say no. Say, I wish I could. I would have loved to, but I had. See, that's what people do. They say, I would have loved to, but I can't. But you have to internally get to a place that you want to, because you have to break your nature. It's not about convincing and manipulating everyone on the outside to be polite. Opportunities come to you so that you are willing to do them. You have to be willing. And then when you're willing, the light will guide you as to what you should do. But you can't use your comfort or your selfishness as an excuse to make decisions that appear to be good, but internally are really just your comfort zone, if that makes sense.
I think you bring up an important underlying concept for the entire discussion today, which is the opportunity that came to you, or that comes to any of us, when we have to make a decision, when we need to take action, when we need to strategize or plan or prioritize. The most important, or maybe the first place to start with, is this is for me.
Mm-hmm.
It's not for my wife, because I don't have one. It's not for my wife. It's not for my friend at the airport. The opportunity is for me. So it's very easy for a lot of us to say, well, there's only one husband, so I got to be with my wife because nobody can do that. He can get another friend to pick him up, right? But my wife only has me. No, you
already get into the rational logic of it. It's not about any of that.
It's that voice inside us, our opponent, that voice that challenges us to settle, to do what's easiest, to do what's most comfortable, is actually there so we won't listen, so we will overcome it. And that voice kicks in and says, they need. What do other people need? How can I, right? It takes the focus off of us, not in a good way, right? We're not talking about altruism here. We're talking about if the universe is synchronized to give me all of these perfect opportunities for me to grow, that opportunity is for me. And that to me is one of the concepts that motivates me, is that whenever I have something to do, it's for me and only I can do it. Now, that doesn't mean that if my kid says, I don't know, can I have a bagel? That his dad can't make him a bagel as well. At that moment, the opportunity is, do I make him the bagel? Do I empower him to make his own bagel? Do I get his dad to make him the bagel? But it's about a process that's necessary for me. The bagel, it could be a bagel, it could be a car, it could be a trip somewhere. That's immaterial. In that moment, I've got to ask myself, what is the universe trying to get me to here? Which is what David was saying before. I've got to get to such a point of letting go. That was the opportunity there. He thought he had a choice between who to be with. The choice wasn't who to be with. The choice was, can I let go of my comfort?
Are you willing to be with either one?
Right, but our opponent will make it about who needs us more, how hard
what's
is it?
Right, what's moral, what society demands.
If you want to, one of the keys, one of the tricks, I think, to staying motivated is to recognize that everything that's going on around you is orchestrated for you. So you can pass up the opportunity and justify it with, well, someone else will do it, or it's not that important, or it can wait till tomorrow. But the truth is that for some reason, the constructs of creation have decided that there is something for you to do right now. And sometimes what it is for you not to do it. But that's rarely the what the universe wants us to do. And really the goal, it's important to emphasize, the universe is not a sarcastic, pessimistic, bitter force. It is one of loving and growing and sharing and getting each soul on the planet to its highest, most elevated place. So whatever challenge or opportunity you're being given, it's so you can step up on it, not so that it can weigh you down.
So I'll give another example of how this practically can come into play. And I am going to plug something that I study from, in case our audience wants to go deeper. It's a hidden secret. It's not advertised at all. But if you go to Kabbalah.com, you need to be a member for this, which you can also get on scholarship if you can't afford. You go to Kabbalah.com and you type in, you look for TLE of Michael Berg. So that's the 10 luminous emanations. It's the core, it's the deepest study you're going to get. I mean, the classes are so deep that I think he only did them 20 minutes at a time, because after 20 minutes, your head starts to explode. But there's about 97 he's recorded, and we're begging him to keep going. There should be about 1,000 recordings if he goes through the whole book. But he's at 97 right now. And one of the concepts that we learn, again, I would study this if those who want to go deeper on Kabbalah.com. One of the concepts we learn in 10 Luminous Emanations, TLE, is this idea that life is not just a linear moving forward. In order to receive in life, you have to take 2 steps forward, and then you have to let go. And 2 steps forward, I'm making it very simple here. It's a little more complicated than that, but you move forward and then you let go. And you move forward and you let go. And the people who just move forward, what happens is they get shoved back. So this moving back, this letting go is important, because you need to use your desire to go and manifest something. However, you also need to let go of your desire. I'm trying to explain this in a way that it comes out simple and not overly complicated.
Your attachment to the outcome.
Yeah, it's okay. So that's a simple way of putting it. Because you have an attachment to how you want things to come out, or how they should be, that you need to let go. So You need to make a lot of effort, and then you need to let go. And I remember a practical example of something else that Eitan, your daddy, taught me 15 years ago in a business class, spiritual business class. He said, you make a product, you work really hard on the product, you think it's the best product ever, and then you do all the marketing for it. So this is you moving forward. You create it. And then from the moment you're selling it to someone, you say all the great things about the product, you have your customer looking at you, you hand them the product, you tell them the price, and now you have to let go. Because what people usually do when the customer is thinking about should they buy or not buy, you're still like, you're kind of like, you're still trying to manipulate it via energy. And have you ever seen when people overtalk it? You say, oh, here's the price. Oh, by the way, if it's too much, we can break it up into payments. Oh, by the way, if you don't like that, we can do something else. So all that overtalk later on, that is actually what kills the deal. You have to say the price, and then you have to completely let go. And by letting go, you say, I don't care if he buys or he doesn't buy. It's all up to the creator. I'm letting go of every selfish attachment I have to this. And this art of working hard and letting go, is one of the greatest spiritual secrets that are also behind motivation. Because if you're not doing that, you will fall into the trap of losing momentum and losing motivation as well, and losing the deal and losing the relationship. Because people invest in relationships, but they also don't know how to let go of the relationship so that the relationship can breathe and that space can come in and the light can come in and the other person can come towards you. You're just smothering the other person.
Well, there's a question that just came up in the feed. How do you stay motivated when the end results aren't showing up?
Okay. So the great Kabbalist Rav Yehuda Ashlag says that the most exciting, and we have to train ourselves to do this, the most exciting moments of his life. This is a great Kabbalist, lived 100 years ago, the founder of the Kabbalah Center. He said it's only when he does not see how the end result will come about. He said when he sees or when he has clues as to how something's going to work out, it's the worst time of his life. He says because he knows when you cannot see the end, that's actually when you draw down the miracles of the light. You're actually drawing the success when you can't see the end. And when you can see the end, you're actually disconnected from the light. So it's the exact opposite of what we're trained to believe. So if you can train yourself that when you have no clue what's going to happen, you can get excited about that, and that takes training and prayer, and you got to work on that. You can conquer the world now. But if you're the guy or a girl that could only get excited when you see it, it makes sense, it's logical, everyone's supporting it, then you're doomed. You cannot really grow that way.
But that's what I call learning to love the unpredictable. And that, to me, as a Pisces, was probably one of the harder lessons to learn. I think it's the same coin that David is talking about, but the other side of it. For me, it's about waking up every day. Yes, I have a schedule, right? I have things I need to do for my family. I have things that I need to do, meetings with students, classes to prepare, classes to give, right? There is a structure there. But what I love, and it took, as David said, practice. I don't think it's very natural at all, is I cannot wait to see what's in store. So I have a skeleton of what I know it's going to look like. Meetings may get canceled. I might not need to teach. Like there's an infinite amount of possibility left in the day, but that not being attached. I have to tell you, I used to wake up in the morning, check my schedule. No, I even had my, there's a setting you can have your schedule emailed to you. Mm-hmm. I would have my schedule emailed to me so that I could prepare myself mentally, emotionally, plan my day. What am I going to eat? And at the end of the day, I would be so frustrated and miserable because things did not work out according to plan, right? Because people canceled, because I was double booked, because people didn't listen, because the email bounced back, because, any number of possibilities. And waking up in the morning and saying, I cannot wait to see what the light has in store for me today, is actually, like what David was saying, that's the way you draw miracles. You have we're not saying here, don't have a schedule, do whatever roll with the punches, go with the flow, figure it out. You have to have structure. You have to have a goal to work towards. But then that letting go of the handlebars and saying, you know what? I don't want it to go where I want it to go. I want it to go where the light wants it to go, which is far more unlimited, expansive, and powerful. And like David said, miraculous than anything I could ever have planned for myself.
And somebody asks me, what's your goal for today? The goal needs to be, for all of us, restriction. Restriction is the goal. We think the goal is the receiving. The receiving happens when the letting go happens. And it's the biggest paradox of life. As soon as you feel a little agitated, a little worried, afraid, bothered, perturbed, someone else did something, something's not happening, something's in delay, something's ruining your schedule. As soon as you feel upset, that's the sign of when the Creator is saying you need to let go. It's not that because you're upset you need to let go. When you are upset, that's the sign of the Creator saying, okay, at this moment you need to let go.
Well,
it's kind of like
I learned that when you're upset, it's a sign that you're not doing what you're supposed to. And that's the red flag that says, okay, wait a second. This is not what I'm supposed to. If I'm upset right now, I'm doing the wrong thing. And I have any multitude of other things to look at of what I can do.
What I would say about what Elisheva just said is that is the second process that comes in after the first process of letting go. Because if you think about the proactive formula that we teach in Kabbalah 1, it's pause, which is letting go. Pause is letting go. For those of you who taken the course, pause is letting go of your desire at that moment, willing to surrender. And then the second part of the proactive formula is taking responsibility to see, well, what do I need to transform and change, which is what Elisheva just said. So I would first implement the pause and then the self-reflection about what needs to change.
That space, by the way, after the self-reflection may take some time. It's not like suddenly I got it. There may be days in between pausing and reflecting and then deciding on a new direction to take, right? I don't want to, maybe the way that we...
If you're letting go and still looking over your shoulder to see where it is, you haven't fully let go, and so you're delaying the next message.
Well, if you're still looking over your shoulder, you're still attached.
Yeah, so you didn't really let go.
You didn't really let go.
It's still good. You're trying. We got to get an A for effort here. You get the A for the effort. But if you're wondering, well, where's the message? If you're asking that question, it means you haven't let go. When you let go, it's like you don't even care if there is a message. You don't even care if it works out or it doesn't. That is the most powerful place to be. You still care about the project, but you don't care if it manifests in the way you want it to.
Well, let's turn the tides a little bit and talk more about the personal department, right? If you are employed, if you work, or if you are self-employed and you have X, Y, and Z that need to get done, there may be an external force that says it to you at some point. If you want to get paid, you got to do this, right? Mm-hmm. That external incentive, even if you procrastinate, we'll talk about procrastination later this month, but even if you procrastinate or you're lazy or you put, call it whatever you want, you just put things off to the last minute because that's when your creative juices are flowing the most, when it's got to get done. You will get it done because there is a reward, quote unquote, a paycheck, a diploma. There's certain things that are lined up that if you do X, Y, and Z, you will get A, B, and C. But there's other areas of life that it's not so concrete. For example, taking care of yourself. One of the things that I have seen a lot of people go through in the last year is extreme lack of motivation in taking care of one's health, even one's mental state, right? Suddenly maybe people started taking care of their health, but are anxious and angry and afraid. Maybe there's been relationships that have taken the back seat because other things have become a priority. And suddenly people are turning around saying, well, where are my friends? I have no social life, or even spirituality. We had this in a class last week. One of the questions that came up, one of the workshops was, where are you lacking motivation? And a lot of people confessed to, I used to be so spiritually motivated, thinking about how much I can connect, grow my consciousness, study, meditate. And now I'm kind of like, later. So how can let's share some wisdom around the stuff that doesn't have the intrinsic reward.
Okay. Maybe this is tied to it, because one of the questions we have here on my feed is, I've been and tell me if this is off topic, but I think it's related. I've been trying for months and years to have a relationship. By the way, our live numbers keep going up because I think people are sharing this topic more than usual. So if you feel that this is helping people, the sharing is very helpful. So thank you. So the question is, I've been trying for months and years to have a relationship. I worked a lot with myself, but no results. Nothing moves. How can I, what can I do to still have motivation and not lose hope in terms of, I'm paraphrasing here, in terms of finding the relationship? This is tied to what you just, said.
Mm-hmm.
You want to answer that one?
No.
Okay.
You start. I have my list.
Okay. So I would say, this is what I picked up on this spiritual pattern. I failed at this for a long time. And then I started to kind of see how it works. So I kind of saw what the spiritual algorithm here is. And basically it works like this. I'm motivated and excited to do something. So in this case, let's say for you, it's to
dating.
Finding a partner. And for another person, it could be finding a career, making money,
losing weight, getting fit.
Sure. So you have this project, this goal in mind. And for me, it works something like this. I have this goal and I throw everything at it. Wake up, plan. Like I listen to other gurus. My biggest thing about becoming successful is I look for 3 people who have already done it. And I just go to them and I say, I want to download everything from you. What did you do? How did you fail? How can I be around you? How can I talk to you more? So that's my thing. I find that to be a shortcut to manifestation, is aligning yourself with people who have already done it. Like, why are you trying to figure it out yourself? There are people who have already done this. Just learn from them. They're good and the bad, and go from there. So I'll do that. I'll do everything. And 99% of the time, after I do everything on it to the point of exhaustion, right? That could be a week later, a month later, 3 months later, nothing happens. Nothing works. Now, what I've realized is I need to do all of that to reach the place of failure. And then at that moment where I feel totally hopeless, and that thought comes like, what was the point of that? What was the point of all that work I just did? All those dates I just went on, all that money I just spent, all the time I gave? It's like nothing came of it. In fact, I'm farther behind than when I was. And then at that moment, when I have that thought, from the voice of the opponent that says, you just wasted your time, what was the point? Now I know I've entered the miracle zone. So what I say is, okay, from now on, I'm working for free. So I'm going to give double the effort, and knowing that there's going to be no result because nothing just came. So nothing's going to come. So I say to the creator, now I'm working just for you. Whether the person, the soulmate comes, or the business manifests, or I lose the weight or not, I say I don't even care anymore. But I know that the energy I put out there is unconditional. So that's the moment. As soon as you start having those doubts, you're about to enter the miracle zone, which is why everybody quits at that point. Because the opponent comes and says, he's about to enter the miracle zone where everything happens. Let's give confusing thoughts, depression, apathy, sadness, so that person stops what they're doing right there.
Well, ultimately, if you overcome the doubts, the fears, the confusion, the miracle does come, right? That's what David is saying. And that's, I think a product of human nature or evolution, or call it what you want, is that we usually wait for the chaos to come to change us. Now, in the case that we're talking about now, whether it's not having a relationship for a period of time, or not being healthy, not feeling connected to source, not feeling even deserving of happiness, and why bother trying to find it? That's another big one for people. The Kabbalists teach that chaos, if you have a desire for something and you don't make the kind of effort that David is talking about, chaos will get you there. And that to me has always been a big motivator, is, do I want to make effort or do I want chaos?
Mm-hmm.
And I'm a what's the word? Self-professed I'm a lazy person by nature, but I'm also the type of person that laziness makes me efficient, right? I'd rather I had to go to college, so I did it in 2 years instead of 4, right? Not because I'm highly motivated, but because I'm lazy and I don't want to spend 4 years of my life in school.
Right. The laziest people are the most successful.
Right. So, so I am a self-professed lazy person, professional lazy person who has managed to make it work for me. So I'm sharing that because it's actually the chaos that I'm running from in being productive, efficient, motivated, on fire, so to speak. I'm running away from the possibility that chaos is going to get me from point A to point B.
Right.
And we've spoken on the show about, for example, welcoming criticism, right? Inviting criticism, asking people for feedback constantly. That's one of the things that the Kabbalists teach is a way to avoid chaos, is that if you're constantly asking for feedback, inevitably also criticism, and I don't want to call it negative, I'd rather call it criticism, but you're constantly opening yourself up to the painful realities of what about you needs to change, then you don't need the universe to put you in an uncomfortable situation that shows you how to change. You're constantly welcoming that, the negative comments on the show, or your colleagues telling you, listen, you sounded like this, or I wanted to kick you when you said that. Bringing all of that, attracting it, inviting it, welcoming it is a way to avoid the difficulty. But what David was saying is part of the secret is that when you find yourself, like the person who was writing the question, in the dark for a long time, feeling like you're being tested, challenged, confused, no results for a long time, and you want to throw in the towel, know that if you want to give up, that's the sign that you just have to go a little bit further. Well, I want to share one more thing, but I know that you want to say something too. So
I was just going to follow up to the question with another question that's here, but I'll wait for you to finish.
No, I'm finished. I'm saying I want to give another idea, but I want you to finish this
All
one.
right. So Lauren wrote on my feed, how do you know if it's the opponent challenging you before the miracle zone, or it's just a sign to stop, quit, and get out? So I think it's important that when you hit that moment, when the voice of the opponent comes and says, what's the point? You're wasting your time. You've manifested nothing. The decision at that moment is not to keep doing what you've been doing. The decision is, I'm willing to double down on the energy I put out and invest in giving, transforming, applying. I'm not going to shut down. Now, how I invest that energy, in what direction, and with whom, that may need to change. In fact, that's always got to change. You always have to optimize the way you do things and how you do things. And that we teach also in our classes about asking for guidance and asking the creator for help and applying it in different ways. You can't just chew the same piece of gum and expect the flavor not to go away. You got to test new things. But what I'm saying is, you're willing at that moment when you hit the bottom to say, I'm going to double down on the amount of energy I invest, even though I don't know how to invest it yet. So we just have to make sure we don't shut down and quit. That's the important thing.
So okay. That's what I wanted to rephrase if I understood right. There is no such thing as quitting, is basically what David is saying. That doesn't mean you don't go on vacation once in a while, but what it means is that there is just because you don't see the results that you are looking for, that is no indication that you need to stop pushing.
Right. And in fact, the creator holds back any manifestation until you reach that bottom point, because he wants you to work unconditionally. So, and that's why every successful person is the same thing. Everyone's against them, rejecting them. They're on the brink of failure, brink of bankruptcy.
Living in their car.
It's like everything's like against. I was just thinking about Elon Musk. Like, he was like, everybody was against him. Like, it's like this company's going nowhere. And in something in his mind, whatever it was, said, I don't care. He get to the bottom, and he said, no. And now he's where he is. Just a year later, he's on, I think he is number one richest person in the world at this moment, or he's fluctuating between 1 and 2. But the point is, all successful people have the same thing. That's why we love Rocky so much, by the way. What is it? Why does everybody like Rocky? You watch it, you're so inspired by it, because it's the same thing. It's like they hit the bottom. Imagine if Rocky said, you know what, that didn't work out. And then the movie ended. It's not going to win an Oscar. It's not going to have Rocky 2. And no one's going to watch it, because we love the people who hit the bottom, they get the what's the point, and they say, I don't care, I'm still just going to do it.
Pushing.
People love that. We give Oscars for that.
Right. Well, that's what brings me to one of the other things that I find, I guess it's the other side of fear, is the recognition. And I'll explain it in a second, but I'm going to give it a title and then explain it. It's the acknowledgement that every thought, every word, and every action plants a seed. Now, I have a student that was going through a rough patch. You can fill in the blanks to what a rough patch looks like for you. And I said, she didn't feel like studying. She didn't feel like meditating, no praying, no even helping others, just kind of like it was her, Ben and Jerry's, and her dog, kind of thing. And I said to her, everybody gets to have moments like that, right? It's not that that's off limits. But the question is, what put you there? Are you doing it in response to life, your partner, your paycheck, all those other things? Or are you just choosing to take a day off? That's okay too. Now, well, that's actually the more elevated way to do it, is to say, you know what, I need a break. Me, Ben and Jerry's, and my puppy are going to sit on the couch for the next 24 hours. That's okay. But acknowledge that everything, every thought, everything I say, and everything I do plants a seed for something in the future. And in Kabbalah, we're very big on seed planting. The idea being that something happens now. It's not according to my plan, and I get upset. I get angry. I blame. No problem. I may be right. It may not be my fault, but my anger and my blame and my upset is planting seeds for unsavory fruit in the future. So the reason that I bring up that extreme example is because when you're not motivated, when you're not inspired, when you're not feeling like it, and you allow life to swamp around you, that's okay, except you might not enjoy the fruit from those seeds 3 months down the line, 6 months down the line, 3 years down the line. That is one of the things that gets me up off the couch, that keeps me on the straight and narrow a lot, because I may not feel like it right now. I'm thinking of somebody I know that also is very very motivated by how she's feeling, if she's in the mood, if she's not in the mood. So when she's in the mood, she'll commit and she'll plan and she'll and then when she's not in the mood, nobody home, and whatever, let the cards fall as they may. That's not really what she wants, but she has she lets her emotional, and it's not even emotional, it's really mood. It's like her energy. If her energy's up, she's on fire. If her energy is not, Ben and Jerry. So I love Ben and Jerry's, by the way. That's why I always use them as they take the blame for me. My point is that if you are not finding the drive or desire to do what you said you do, what you really want to do, if you cannot muster the strength, think about the idea that whatever you're doing or not doing right now is planting a seed. And that seed, you may be willing to eat it, no problem. But if you don't want to eat it, do something different. Plant a seed that you will enjoy the fruits of. And even though knowing you may not see the fruits, and it's one of the annoying things about life is that there isn't a string attached to the seed and the fruit. So you don't get to know, because I made this effort on February 22nd, 2017, therefore this fruit was created. This reality, this blessing, this miracle is the result of that effort I didn't want to make 3 years ago. You don't get to know that. But with that attitude of who knows, right? Who knows what the light has in store for me today? Who knows what kind of fruit I'm planting by overcoming my mood, doing it even though I don't feel like it, making that effort, or not making it, meaning, sometimes I think it's about you want to say something and you don't. That seed plants a fruit of miracles by itself. Just the whole idea of being able to control yourself from ruining the fruit is a big thing as well.
A visual we should have about what it means to go to our next level. A lot of times you hear motivational leaders talk about breaking through to go to your next level, and that could be breaking your fears. It could be the top stuff that we're talking about now, to invest energy when you're not in the mood. There's another component that I actually think is very unique to what Kabbalah teaches, which is going to your next level is 50% of the battle. The question is, are you going to your next level? So just visualize like there's levels that you scale up, up, up. And in each new level, each new room that you go into, there's more treasures waiting for you. And there's more wisdom, and there's more certainty, and there's more fulfillment. And that's how we're climbing this tree of life, one level to another to another. But the question is, when you go to that next level, because you broke through and you pushed yourself to get there, how much of your internal negativity are you bringing with you? So what we address in Kabbalah is you don't necessarily want to go to the next level if you're going to carry the anger, the hurt, the jealousy, the need to control with you. And this is often why many times the Creator withholds a relationship, a soulmate from a person, because that person still has a quality or two that must be transformed. Because if they enter that soulmate relationship with that quality, they will destroy that relationship. So the Creator almost protects the person and says, I want so badly to introduce you to your other half, but you have this one quality that as soon as that quality enters a relationship, it's like a poison pill. Most common one oftentimes is low self-esteem. Because if you enter a relationship with low self-esteem and you're with this great girl or this great guy who has high self-esteem, in the beginning, it's a honeymoon period, so everyone's kind of numb to the negativity. You don't see the flaws of the other person. But 2-3 years in, your partner will look at you and be like, wait a minute, what's going on here? I committed myself to this. I mean, this is not what I signed up for. So many times what's being withheld from you is because the Creator wants to give it to you, but there are some qualities that if you don't change, you will destroy yourself. And another one can be wealth, actually. Think about how much wealth destroys somebody. You have to have a really high level of humility and not letting wealth control you. It's a muscle that you have to develop before wealth can come in and elevate you and not ruin you. As we've seen, money and respect and power can overcome a person if that person hasn't prepared their vessel for it.
I just realized something looking at the other questions and comments on the feed. I think a lot of us have the perspective that the reward of making effort is relief, is rest. So that when we make an effort and we don't get the intended result, or when we make effort and the end of the process isn't in sight, it means we're doing something wrong. Or this is not what I want because I got involved. Why did I decide to take, I play the game of life with my kids. Okay, so it's been—
You mean the actual game?
The actual
board
game of life,
yes.
Okay? And it's been updated since we were kids. Now you can have a pet and you can change careers midlife. It's just amazing.
Oh, it's been updated.
It's been updated. So they have already, it's super for parents because they already show kids that if you go to college, you can have a higher paying salary, right? So in the game of life, one of the things that, like what I love about it is that you can set up yourself with the salary that you want. You may, it's roulette how many kids you're going to have. Like it really is a fun kind of thing to talk about life with your kids. But my point is that the goal is retirement. The end decision is, do you retire in the country or in a fancy city mansion? Like that's really the options they give you at the end of the game. And I think that our society revolves around this idea that you can get a really tough career, meaning you're going to become a doctor. You're going to work 36-hour shifts. You are going to make lots of money and you are going to retire. And that's like accomplishment. That is somebody who's made a life for themselves. And we look at the retirement or the rest as the reward for all of the effort. Here we come, David and I, now telling you relief is not a reward. Or if that's the reward you're looking for, it's no wonder you are not motivated. Because that is like walking up to God's office and saying, God, can you please fill my thimble with light? I just want relief right now. I want a break. If you are looking for a break, chances are it will elude you. And that goes back to the very first thing we talked about today. if you are willing to make the effort, regardless of how long it takes, you are shortening your process. If you are saying, I'm going to do it, and if it doesn't work, I'm throwing in the towel, you are asking for even more challenge than you really need.
The biggest motivation killer is getting what you want.
Wow. Say that again?
The biggest motivation killer is when you finally get what you want. The anticipation of the new car, the anticipation of the date, the anticipation of the steak that's coming, the anticipation of getting dressed and going out. You know, I just saw last week, I was driving down in Beverly Hills in Wilshire. Yeah, I mean, it was bumper to bumper. And
the restaurants, everybody
outside.
All
the Lamborghinis were lining up in front of a Rodeo Drive just to show off I could sense the anticipation of the night was probably more enjoyable than as they started to eat the first bite of that steak, that first sip, and then the night just goes downhill from there. So as soon as you receive, you actually start to get sad. And that's what's really powerful. We all love the vision, the dream, the work, the process. It's exciting because we're overcoming. But the second we receive, which we have to have a whole nother class about what to do to not fall into that trap. How do you, because which bite of the steak is the most tasty? The first, not the 8th bite. Has anybody chewed on a steak or piece of fish or whatever you enjoy, and the last bite was better than the first bite? And that's a problem. That the Kabbalists give a remedy to that, which is beyond the scope of our time frame right now. And we should mark that as a class we should give.
Except this isn't a class.
You do that to me every time.
Because you do it to me every time.
Well, I'm so used to teaching classes. That's the problem. But we first need to know, don't get too caught up in manifesting, because the people who manifest are the people who aren't looking to manifest. It's always the paradox. It's always the paradox. But as soon as you get what you want, you stop enjoying it. Everybody wants to get married, and then it's not. All of a sudden, the anticipation of it was more thrilling for people than when it actually happened. And of course, what's the solution? Never receive? No, the solution is to receive, but there's another secret sauce that you have to add to it. To be continued.
Okay, I'm writing it down. Someone is writing, can you ever have your cake and eat it too?
Yeah. And the other person's cake. You can have all the cakes. You can eat it. You can spit it out. You can get someone else. You can get more cake. Sure.
It's so funny. I guess maybe the people who are not obsessed with food don't really understand our metaphors, but yes.
I bought a cake this morning, and I know that a scone. Mm-hmm. And I know if I ate the whole scone, I give a shout out to my favorite coffee place here in Los Angeles, which is Aaron's Coffee. But I bought the scone, and I know that if I ate the whole scone, my energy would start tanking, and I'd be really upset I did it. So what I do, and I have this coffee right here. You see this? This is 16 ounces right here. I will sip this the entire day until like 4 p.m. because I know if I drink the whole thing in 1 hour, it's over. It's for every sip I take, I restrict 2 more sips.
And where are you going with this?
Where I'm going with this is the secret to having the cake is to have a couple bites of the cake and then let go of the next couple bites you want to have. You don't eat to the point where you don't want to eat anymore. You eat and then you let go when you really want to eat, when you want to eat even more. And that's the secret of, but it's the secret of keeping your body immortal too. It's a lot of secrets there. We'll continue that next time.
Okay, so as we wrap up today's show, I think it's important to mention that one of the things about being motivated and continuing to be motivated is also, David said it before, optimizing, but I think it's also about constantly looking at, or consistently, maybe not constantly, but consistently checking in and saying, what do I want? Right? You want to be motivated. You've got to be also connected to what you want. Mm-hmm. And one of the things that is difficult for people is to stay connected to their desires, why I started out, why I've been doing this why I started doing this in the first place. And hopefully we'll get to answer more of those ideas that continue the conversation in the coming weeks. You can continue to write your questions and comments in the feed, where if you're watching videos, if you're listening and you have questions or comments, you can email us at energyboost@kabbalah.com, and we will see you next week on the Weekly Energy Boost.